Well, good day, my friends. It's your old pal Jordan the Lion. How are you all doing today? I hope you said great. I'm doing great. Today we are in Athens, Georgia, home of REM, home of the B52'S, and we're actually going to go to one of the founding members of the B52'S grave today. Daze with Jordan the Lion and you all. It begins right now. Well, we've made it to Oconee Hill Cemetery. It's a very old cemetery. I did see that we would encounter a bridge that goes right through the middle of the cemetery. So Ricky is back here in the back. This particular cemetery, you have to look up the person's location on one of these. We got the Joster out here today. He's a B52 fan. Hey, Rock Lobster. So we're looking for Ricky Wilson in section G, it said. So we're gonna search this section. And he shouldn't be too hard to find because he has a pyramid as a headstone. So in the very, very back, almost the furthest part of the entire cemetery, I mean literally we're back to the woods here, is the grave of the creative genius that wrote Rock Lobster. This is Ricky Wilson's grave over here. This pyramid. He's beside another couple of Wilsons, so there's some Wilsons right there and right here, so probably hopefully family members. There's his grave. It says, "The breeze of grace is always blowing, set your sail to catch that breeze." His death came as a shock to most people. He was only 32 years old. Ricky Hilton Wilson. He was Cindy Wilson of the B52's older brother. Oh, it's sad. He died of AIDS. He found out while they were recording their third album that he had contracted AIDS and told Keith, the guitarist of B52's, who was his best friend, that he had it, but nobody else. So it was a massive shock. Even Cindy said, she said, "I suspected something, but I didn't know." He had been with the band since the very beginning. They started as just a group of friends. It was Ricky, who everybody just always says he was so likable. He was so charming, just you saw him and you couldn't help but smile. He was standing outside of a head shop one day when he was in high school during the summer, and Keith said that he was actually skipping summer school that day and saw him and asked his friend, "Who's that guy with the long hair?" And he said, "Oh, that's Ricky Wilson, he's the coolest." And he said, and then I didn't see him for a couple of months until we were in school. And next thing I know, we started talking and we found out that we both liked the Beatles and liked music, and we became friends. And then Ricky saved up his money and got himself a recording unit and started writing songs. And Keith said, really the way it all kind of started was that he could play, and he said he had a guitar. And one day the group had went out to a Chinese restaurant and they had got a flaming volcano and all shared it. They were actually just a group of friends. It was Fred Schneider, Kate Pearson, Keith Strickland, Ricky Wilson, Cindy Wilson, and one other person. And they were sharing this drink because they couldn't afford food. And afterward, they decided just to go have fun and jam. And so Keith was on guitar, Ricky was on congos. Kate said she played like a keyboard for the bass, and they just made up a song called Killer Bees. And next thing they knew, it was just a jam, but Fred told a friend of theirs that it was a band. They had a band now. And his friend said, oh, you should play my party. You should play my Valentine's party. So they had actually formed and had that jam on Halloween night of 1976. And then on Valentine's Day, they played their friend's party. And they said that they set up in her foyer. They had to write some more songs because now they knew they had a gig. And people were dancing in the house, and they were playing in the foyer, and people were having fun, and they were having fun. They said it was the first time they jammed, it was just like instantaneous, like it was meant to be. There's even some music notes over here at the bottom of Ricky's headstone. And so Keith had a guitar, and he said that he used to break strings frequently and didn't have the money to replace them, so he'd just like tune it to an open tuning and mess around with it. And one day he had done that, and he gave the guitar to Ricky and said, hey, you should mess around with this, because Joni Mitchell used to play with open tunings and see what, you know, what happens, what you can do with it. And he said next time he saw Ricky, he came in and Ricky was sitting on the edge of the bed, and he had a big smile on his face, and he said, I just wrote the goofiest song ever, like the goofiest riff. And he said, I played me the riff for Rock Lobster, and I loved it. The sailboat. So they ended up forming a band. After they played those little house parties and stuff, they had a friend that was playing shows in Atlanta, and those bands in Atlanta had went and played New York, and so they said, you know what, we should probably play New York. And they went and played New York. They played CBGB's and I think Max's, and had a good reaction by the people. And a guy that had a record store said, you guys got to release a single, got to release something so people can buy it, because they were doing such a wacky, crazy, unique style of music that nobody else was doing it. And so people were captivated by it, and the radio wouldn't play it, so you really had to come up with something that you could sell yourself. So they were going to release a single, and they said, you know, what should we do? And that guy that owned the label said, Rock Lobster, it's so catchy. So they pressed up some Rock Lobster, started playing shows, and it became a hit. Everywhere they went, they were getting more and more people. They were selling all the records. Then eventually the labels in New York started to show interest and came and signed them. Then they played Saturday Night Live, and that's where a lot of people really first saw them, including Kurt Cobain used to say that was like one of his favorite mind-opening experiences, was seeing the B52'S on Saturday Night Live. So they recorded an album, recorded their first album. Rock Lobster, of course, was a hit. And for 18 months, they toured. Then they made another record, toured for 18 months, then made their third record. And that's when Ricky found out he was sick and told Keith, but didn't tell anybody else. So when they made their fourth record, which was Ricky's last record, he recorded his parts. They'd recorded it, got it done. They were in the process of picking out the album art, and he unexpectedly died. And the band just basically went into seclusion and fell into a depression, and said basically that they ended the band, that they had decided that without Ricky it wasn't going to be fun anymore. And so for 2 years they didn't do anything as far as together. They would work on other things separately. Cindy has a great song about Ricky that you should check out, Cindy Wilson. But after 2 years, they said they were missing each other and missing it, and they wanted to pay homage to Ricky and his memory, and came out with that amazing album that was where I found out about him, was the one that had Love Shack and Rome and all that stuff. Became a huge, huge hit. But because of that music, I went back and checked out all the early stuff. And yeah, Ricky was amazing, because he would, because of that one moment of writing a song on a guitar with different tunings, he would do it a lot, and that became kind of a signature to their sound. So the band continued on. Keith continued with the band until, I want to say until about 2018, somewhere around there, I believe. As far as he quit live performing, but he would still record. And then in 2022, Fred and Kate and Cindy went out, just the three of them as the B52'S, and did a farewell tour. So they officially, supposedly, have ended it now. But wow, what a band. There is nobody like them. The craziness of, they said, you know, none of them were proficient. None of them were amazing musicians, but they were all super creative. And that's what Athens drew. Ricky was from here in Athens. Cindy was from here. Keith was from here. And Fred and Kate had moved from Jersey when they became adults. And they all found each other here. So it was really meant to be. All right, my friends and B52 fans. Hope you enjoyed this vlog on Ricky Wilson. We will see you next time from Athens, Georgia. Have a great night and goodbye.